Well, hey, everybody. It is the Impact Motivator CL King coming to you from Impactville. That's right. This is an off-season, specially put together broadcast of Impacting Life 24/7. And the reason why it's off-season because our season ended in November, but why it's special because we have a very, very special guest tonight with us that we're going to have the privilege of interviewing him about his most recent release, the book that we've all been anticipating, The Journey of One Tortoise. Let me tell you something. When we hear the word journey, we oftentimes think of words like quest or tour or globe-trotting. All of us have a journey that we have taken. Even if it's just to go down to the mailbox and check what's in the mail, that is a journey. And the unique thing about it is every journey that we embark on is uniquely different. Your journey's not the same as mine. And today we're going to hear from my good friend, longtime friend, over 20 years, Mr. Mike Black, about his newly released book called The Journey of One Tortoise. And one of the things I want to tell you right now is that The Journey of One Tortoise is a book that really gives an expansive view of Mike Black's life all the way up to his time going into the United States Marine Corps. And we're going to talk about how he wrote the book, the journey of writing, because that was a journey all by itself. We're going to talk about the characters in the book. We're going to unearth kind of the forensics of this book and give you a bird's eye view of why you need to get this book in your hand. I cannot be more excited to bring my friend on our show, Impacting Life 24/7, and hear his story and his journey that is way more than just about a tortoise. It's about a great man surrounded by some amazing people. So we're asking you to sit back and relax and give us a listening ear for the next little while as we welcome to the virtual studios my friend and yours, Mr. Mike Black. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, what's up, CEO? So good to be here, man. Ecstatic, and thank you for putting this on right before Christmas, man. It is just a joy to be here. Glad to be back with you.
Man, it's so good to have you back, Mike. And I know we both have been going a million miles. If everybody really knew what was going on in the background of our lives, they would say, how are those two jokers smiling, right?
Exactly. Because life does sometimes throw you some curveballs, and that's an understatement.
Yeah, life has been lifing for sure, but that's okay because it is the cumulative pieces of life that help us make up this thing called a journey. And so, Mike, I know we've been talking for like 2 hours before we just got started here today. And because friends do that, and friends can never just come on and say, okay, we're going to talk for 30 minutes and that's going to be it. We needed a couple hours just to get warmed up and get ready to present this to people. But let's do a couple things. Where can people find you so that they can find more information out about the book?
Sure. So I created a Facebook page for this book, The Journey of One Tortoise, and that's where you can find the information for the book. I'm also on Facebook as well under Michael Black, and I'm also on Instagram at Author Jute, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm not the best on Instagram. I'm still learning, so thanks for your patience with that. But I do have some followers on Instagram, and followers are coming along on Facebook. So I thank you to all the followers and for your support.
And we thank you for your support out there, and we're going to get more followers. So just go connect with him at The Journey of One Tortoise on Facebook, and also you can find him on Instagram. Listen, The Journey of One Tortoise, this can be purchased directly from Dorrance Publishing. That's DORRANCE Publishing, and is also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. His book is also at the Next Chapter Books and Art in downtown New Bern, and is available at Nautical Star Coffee Company in downtown New Bern. You can buy a signed copy directly from Mike, and all you got to do is just call him or text him, 252-622-0441, and you can order his book directly from Dorrance Publishing and call them directly at 800-788 7654 Monday through Friday. Listen at that commercial voice right there, Black. I feel like we should have been doing this all along, right? But
That's what I'm saying.
I want everybody to get your hands on this book because it's uplifting, it's revealing, and we're going to go through the journey together tonight about, your journey of putting this thing together. So, Mike, let's get right to it, brother, because you know how it is in Impactville. Time can slip away from you before you know it. Isn't that true?
Very true. Very true.
And before you go ahead.
Yeah, and impacting in a short time, like you said in the onset, this doesn't happen by osmosis. It's a lot of backwards prep to make a 30-minute show just awesome and captures your attention, keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, that's right. So listen, when we talk about the book, give us a brief overview of the book, Mike, so we can kind of understand the central theme, and then tell us what inspired you to write this particular book.
So I would say the overview is faith, family, and service. And the purpose is to share parts of my life. There's been so many things that have happened to me in my life that it's almost like it was bursting out of me to want to share some of these crazy stories with the world about my life. So that was the theme. Yes, sir.
Mike, when we talk about this, again, I want people to understand. Again, you can go to DoransPublishing.com and get a copy, your very own copy of The Journey of One Tortoise. We're also going to give you out information again about how you can get a signed copy directly from Mike himself. But the journey is important, and we talked about this backstage. We said, my story, which is in my book, is different than yours. Your story is different than LeBron James's, right? So you don't have to be CL King. You don't have to be LeBron James. You just have to have a desire to tell your story, and I hear what you say when you said it was bursting out of you. Is that what kind of inspired you to write this book?
It did. It inspired me to write it because I just thought there are so many things that happened in my life that I want to share it because some of it is just so comical and so uplifting and just a range of emotions. I've known for a long time that I wanted to share my journey with others.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this is that remember, Mike, when me and you, because we went through this kind of journey together, writing the book. Mike was nudging me along, we were inspiring each other back and forth. And you remember when you did the what's the place where you go and it's there forever? What's it called? You know what I'm saying? The Library of Congress.
Library of Congress, that's right. We did the copyright.
Right, the copyright, getting it from the Library of Congress. And
right.
Your book, this work, long after you are gone,
right,
will be in the Library of Congress. And that is a major, major feat, Mr. Mike Black. So on behalf of all of us at Impactville, I want to say, first of all, congratulations, brother, because not everybody can do it. What did I tell you? Less than 50,000 people a year write a book, bro.
50,000 a year in the U.S. write a book. And when you think about the population comparative, it's very low percentage.
Yeah.
And so as my dad would say, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? Because it was not easy.
No, brother.
By no stretch.
We're in a brotherhood because obviously me and you've been in a brotherhood for a long time. We grew up in a trailer park together. But
we did.
But this is a different type of fraternity. There are people with PhDs. There are people with higher education that still haven't written a book, Black. And so this is a phenomenal accomplishment. When we look at the theme, books have themes and characters. Who was your favorite character in the book? And kind of tell us why they were your favorite character. And then you can also tell us how you developed characters to make them relatable and intriguing to an audience.
So I think the characters in my book were my family and my friends. I think about, like I said, just before the show, we talked about coming up, I had to travel back and forth to see my family. And so just how much they impacted me, how much they supported me, and then my friends as well. I had a group of friends growing up in high school, 3 friends. We were called the Color Crew. So it was Mike Black, Danny Green, Jason White, and my other friend's name was Ryan Yambura, and he said it was an African color for orange, and we just would laugh our butts off, right? But we were a crew, and we hung out we hung out from probably 8th grade, maybe 7th grade, all the way through high school. And so those guys just really impacted me. And I know that, you know, you lose touch, but I just know that if I was to see them, we'd pick back up where we left off. My good friend Ryan, he joined the service with me, went in the buddy program, and so that was fun. But you know, these characters were developed from real life experiences, you know, with them over many many years. You know, all of us have had feelings in our life and things that have happened and people that have impacted us. But if we're honest and we look inwardly, it's they created the fabric of who we are. They are part of who we are as people.
Right.
So you don't realize how much someone at 10 years old impacts you to how you are when you're 40 and 50. It just, if you think deeply of it, you'll look back on your life. And I'm speaking to anybody. You can look back on your life. Someone in your family or friends really impacted you. They did. It's just
Mhm.
how it is. Humans impact other humans,
Right.
negative and positive, but you know, always you want to always focus on the positive. But so that's really what how I created the characters of the book.
And when we talk about creating the characters, when you how did you develop kind of like a mechanism to make them relatable or intriguing to the reader? Because it's one thing to present uh grandma, or it's another thing to present Uncle Billy Bob at the family reunion, and you get them in full color, in living color. But to have them in a book and to talk about them, what was your thought process associated with making them intriguing to the reader?
Yeah, I just think that I always, you know, took it from stories and things that happened, and that's how I made it relatable. So, like my friends, we all love playing basketball, you know, and in my book there's a chapter about basketball love affair. So there's so many stories within the stories that made them relatable, and how the readers could imagine us playing basketball in the backyard on this court that was half concrete and half moon shaped. So I was very descriptive in my writing, and it's like I almost wanted the reader to transcend themselves there to say, "Oh, you were playing basketball with me. You was playing 21 in the backyard." So I
Right.
tried to take stories and just make it to where almost like if you were reading it, you could transcend and imagine yourself being there in part of my story. So
Right.
I really tried to write that way, as descriptive as I can. I mean, I would describe the clay in the ground, the background, the yard. In my house growing up, we had chickens in our backyard. I lived in a city, so it's hilarious to me that I had a chicken
You had
coop
chickens in your backyard.
next to the basketball court, and I literally playing basketball and could see the chickens running around in the coop. But I lived in a city, but we had a lot of land. And so you say to yourself, I can imagine, and of course, put pictures of it in the book. And so that gives it that extra feel of like, oh, that's what he was talking about in the backyard with the basketball court is. And of course, the basketball court looks so raggedy, but
Yeah.
I mean, I played on it for years.
Right.
So
You think about it, man. Okay, you can get you a game of 21 and a piece of fried chicken at the end of it. So listen, the journey of one tortoise. Again, this can be purchased from Dorrance Publishing, and it's also available at Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you'd like to get a signed copy from Mike himself, just he's willing to open himself up and give you guys an opportunity to reach out to him directly. You can contact him at 252-622-0441, and you can always follow this journey, because this journey is a continuum. I'm in a year into my book, and it's just like, okay, we're starting January over, and it's going to be a whole nother set of people that we can reach. And so this journey is going to be a long journey. But you can go to, on Facebook or social media, you can go to The Journey of One Tortoise. Now, one of the things that I think is very, very important are themes and messages. That's your book has to have a theme or a message, or else it's just kind of like words on a paper. So are there any specific themes or messages in your book that you wanted readers to kind of glean, and how do you tackle complex themes within storytelling? Because some things are difficult to make into a theme, or it's a theme but it's putting it into a story can be complex. How did you tackle this?
So the theme would be faith, family, and inspiration. And I tackle these complex themes by descriptive storytelling, and I had it from memory. And so when I was writing this book, Chris, it was during COVID. And as we all know, the world was locked down, stuff was crazy. And I was telling a friend the other day that I stayed inside the house a lot, not because I was scared of COVID, but I just didn't want to get sick and bring it home to my spouse, right? So there was a lot of downtime. So to me, I took that downtime. And remember, this was in the height of a global pandemic. I mean, stuff was crazy. I think everybody that was around would want to take and put that in the rearview mirror. Before the show, we were talking about another world pandemic back in the early 1900s, and it was just worldwide. So there was the whole world was just weird. It was just in an upside down, weird place. But I think I was able to kind of almost utilize that to shut the world off, to just hone in and focus and start conveying things from memory. And also just like to add in that, when people are writing, you just need to write. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about spelling. Just write. If you have something on your heart and on your mind, just write. And that's the way I approached it was descriptive, best I could remember it, stories I associated with it. And I just felt like, I almost felt like it was, I'm dating myself here, but the sitcom, The Wonder Years. And
Yeah,
so, here he is talking as an adult about his childhood, but he's conveying it in an adult manner. And
right.
so I always found that show to be fascinating. It's like one of my favorite shows as a kid. But I think that's how I kind of approached it.
Well, I mean, and that's a good approach, man, in terms of getting the theme out, being descriptive. It's important that you want people to visualize what you're saying. You want them to be able to have those words kind of come off the page to them and marinate in their head. Like I just cannot get this out of my head. I see feathers flying all over this basketball court, and y'all trying to dodge these chickens. I mean, I'm just that I just I'll have that forever now, even though that may not have been the way it is. It those types of things are triggers when you're painting a theme. And when we talk about writing a book, let's just make sure we get this out, Mike, because this is so important. When we talk about writing a book, it is not just something, and we say this because we want you to understand that writing a book is not easy. There are some people that just crank out books like bam, 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 bam. You know what I mean? They're just naturally gifted. Kind of like the way I would view a speech. I don't need 6 months to make a speech. I can do it in 6 minutes, right? But a book, I need about a year to get a book done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so we want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the writing process, you develop rituals and habits. You develop, rudiments and patterns. So, Mike, you took several years to put this work together. What were some of the rituals and habits and patterns that you found that helped you kind of continue to sludge through that quicksand, almost feeling like I'm never going to get this done?
Yeah, so I think what I did is, being the first book, and I'd just like to say there's no wrong way to write a book. It has to look what works for you. For me, I kept it real simple. I took a pack of printing paper, I put a big clip on it, I sat down and I started handwriting.
Mm.
And the rituals were that I would just write for 3 hours one night, take 2 days break, write for an hour the next night. So I didn't have a scheduled, regimented, you know, between 6 and 9, I'm going to write. I mean, I actually read a book on how to write a book, and that's what it recommended. But for me, I felt like it was killing the creative process.
Hmm.
I needed to just sit down and let it flow. Whatever was on my heart that day, if it was more on Tuesday than it was on Thursday, it's okay. I even got mad, put it down for months, picked it back up. And I think that's when me and you were talking and we were kind of spurring each other on and motivating each other. How's it going? Well, I'm over here at the Books and Barnes and Nobles and I'm writing. I'm over here at the coffee shop. I'm over here at the Dunkin' Donuts. So I
Right.
switched it up to where I was at home. I was at the Dunkin' Donuts. I was at the Starbucks. Maybe I was at the library. So, but I always took that book with me and I wrote. And what's really interesting is I just wrote. And then when I wrote 100 pages plus, I'm like, what am I going to call this book? Oh
Yeah.
man, what am I going to call the chapters?
Right.
And so just the creative process was I wrote the whole book and didn't even know what the title was. And
Yeah.
so it was probably a professional will tell you probably the most convoluted backwards way of writing it. But proof's in the pudding. It's published and it's written, and it worked for me. And that don't mean that it's going to work again for me. But again, it's how I did it and how it
You know,
kind of conceptually came to me.
Black, that's an interesting point because I kind of did mine the exact same way. There's all these. Let me just tell y'all, don't fall for the clickbait out here. All these. Hey, we can get you here for $59.95 plus tax, and then we need 300 after that 6 weeks is up, then another 1,000 after that. Man,
Sure.
we did it. We did it the hard way. We did it. We did it our way. But one of the things that I found was I needed to, believe this or not, Black, I had to get out of the studio to write because this represents so much work. I don't mean
Right.
like difficulty, but when I'm in here, the donut sign is on. You know what I'm saying? This represented work. This represented
Right.
grinding. But it was a different type of creativity, right? So
Right.
it all when it came time to like try to write something in a book, I felt like, well, am I supposed to be updating my website? Am I supposed to be making a proposal? I felt like
Mm.
that kind of So when I would
Right.
leave and go to Barnes and Noble or go, to the park or whatever, it gave me this like freedom. You know what I mean? This liberty to express myself, and that's what I mean. Like I would imagine you would give an author that same advice, huh?
I really would because it's not so much get in a room and write out a draft and write out different points. I mean, yeah, that's what the book is going to tell you how to write, but it also depends on what type of book you're trying to write. I mean, think about autobiography. You're writing from your life, and so it's unique to you. Well, you went through it, so you know it. You know it better than anyone. You know it inside and out. It's
Right,
just writing it in such a way that's relatable to others. And like you said, what's going to make it interesting? I mean, I say right in my beginning of my book, who am I to write a book? Who would take the time to read my book? I
right,
mean, I don't think that I'm nobody hot stuff. That I'm very humble and just flabbergasted that Dorrance Publishing published me. I'm just eternally grateful. They published me. So, it's not about that, but it is about the style of book that you're writing. I mean, I think about when you were writing and some of the things that happened to you and how, tough it was. You had to recall that stuff. Well, I had the same type of emotions, but just on a different level. It's just from a
right.
different perspective.
And let me
So,
let me just interject here because I know there will be people who are listening who are like OCD and everything has got to be exacting. There is a space for that type of approach, right? There is a space. If that space works for you, then be in that space, right? If you
right,
got if you got to punch the clock from 6 to 9 and this is my 6 to 9, this is my writing time. There are some people that's just the way their brain works. Well,
right.
I'm more aloof. You know what I mean? Like people are like, when did you write that speech? On the way here. You know what I'm saying? And I've done that. Greg can testify that we was given a big keynote speech at a college, and I wrote it out on the way to the college. But and somebody would look at that if I'm coaching them, and they would be like, "You're an absolute train wreck," right? But
Right,
but if I tried to do it the scripted way, I'd probably still be on page 4 or 5.
right, for
You know
sure.
what I'm saying? Like you got to give yourself grace. Like I put the book down too for I put it
You
down for
did.
a month for a minute, didn't I?
You did. And it
Yeah.
was funny how, just to let the audience know that, I encouraged you. And then on the back end, behind the scenes, you encouraged me.
Right.
And so it was hilarious because we started at the same time and there was reasons for delays, but you were like, come on, Black, you can do it. And I'm like, I know, I was helping you. And so
Right.
it was unique, but it's difficult. It's emotional. I mean, you're sharing your life with the entire world.
Right.
And um, for anybody to say that's something to take lightly, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is, man. And when you sit back and think about it, you go look at your work. Let's look at it. Let's put it up on the screen for those who can see us on video. The journey of one tortoise. You can see how well that's put together, and the one thing that really just amazes me is the name. We always go and look at everybody else's stuff, Black.
Right.
But this is Michael E. Black's book.
Michael E. Black.
And from time immemorial, I picked up a book in Wilmington. Remember the book I tell you about that is so difficult to read, The Life of the Bee?
That's a very difficult book.
But that book, that brother wrote it back in 1840 something. And here I am 150 years later reading his book in a bookstore in Wilmington. The dude been dead.
Yeah, his grandchildren are probably maybe
right
here.
You see what I'm saying? So
right.
So the point is that you are affecting lives long after you're in the grave, man. And so let me ask you the next question, because we can get all emotional. We will be here for 4 nights.
Sure.
You talk about influences. Influences are important, and I do feel like it's important to have. And you don't necessarily need a coach, but man, somebody to kind of be in your corner. It was cool that me and you were parallel, even though our books were totally different. We were still on the same journey. So, who influenced you in your theme and your writing style and all that? And how do you balance being inspired by others while maintaining your own unique voice?
Yeah, I would say I don't think a specific author influenced me, but becoming a published author is a dream. I mean, obviously, and I'm not blowing smoke, you know me, I'm continually inspired by you, CL, and the fortitude you had to write about your life's journey. It's no easy feat, right? So I think I'm influenced by, and you hit it, being a published author, it's a forever accomplishment.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that it's a forever accomplishment.
You ain't got to do it again.
I don't, unless I want to. I'm joined a small fraternity, like you said earlier, and my book is in the Library of Congress. It's like, how cool is that? It's just, it's a dream, man. And I think being inspired by others is easy. I mean, you can learn from anyone, and learning is constant. I have a love for learning, and I always aspire to be a growing person. They say if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
I believe that's a serious thing, right? And staying true to my internal creativity. I think I derive my creativity from everyone and everything. The world has so much to offer. Ignore the news, but the world is just, it's so huge. There's so much to offer. You can get inspiration from the smallest thing. A bird in the tree, you can get inspiration from. I mean, it's just, you gotta broaden your perspective, open your mind up, open your eyes and look around. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It really is. It's everywhere, man.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, let me give his information out again. This is my friend, so I sometimes can forget. He's not a guest. He's just my homeboy. The Journey of One Tortoise can be purchased directly from Dorrance Publishing. Okay, you can go there, dorrancepublishing.com, DORRANCE, publishing.com. And it's available also on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. If you're in the local area, his book is at the Next Chapter Books and Art in downtown New Bern. It is also available at the Nautical Star Coffee Company in downtown New Bern. You can get a signed copy directly from Michael E. Black, by calling or texting 252-622-0441. You know what, Mike? I might memorize your number now since I've had to give it out a couple times. Challenges in writing a book. We keep saying this, and I you know what, man? I really feel like we're doing this a good service because some of, like I said, some of the clickbait that you'll see on the internet, it's like, hey, write your book in the next 25 seconds and you'll be done and you'll be making $1 million. Man, I want to be real with you. Okay. If this is something outside of your comfort zone, right? Like, I'm a speaker. I am not a writer. I found out how terrible of a writer I was when they had to get edited. Right? Well, maybe not a bad writer, but definitely a bad I had terrible grammar and punctuation and all the other things that makes writing a thing. But though there was challenges in putting the work together, and I want you to share some, of the challenges that you faced, how you overcame them, and were there particular scenes in the book, Black, that were challenging to write?
Yeah, I would say there were many challenges. One is can't tell you how many times I quit. I mean, I feel like I quit every week, to be honest with you. And then just start again the next week, right? Two is money. It costs money to write a book.
Hello.
I mean, my dad always say, son, you gotta spend money to make money, right? And so I would always resonate with me like, okay. And I would say doubt. Okay. Think about the type of book I'm writing. You have that self-doubt, which ain't nothing but the devil creeping in there and saying, who are you to write a book? Ain't
Right.
nobody gonna read your book. You suck. Your life's ordinary. You ain't nobody. It's that devil coming in there and giving you that doubt. It's like, you know what? Hmm. But it is a big deal sharing your life with the world. So you have to overcome that doubt. You have to not give up, confide in your friends and family, and just determine that you're going to make the investment in the project. I prayed a lot that God would bless this book, and He has. And it's just, you have to have support. Writing a book is a solitude thing, but you don't want to do it alone. Let's
Ah,
say that again.
that's good.
Writing is a solitude endeavor. You spend a lot of time by yourself. Ain't nobody finna type it for you or sit over and write the pages. You have to do it, but you have to have support. So that's how I overcome those challenges, man.
That's a powerful statement, man. Writing is a solitude endeavor, but you can't do it alone. Wow, and you didn't realize how important your voice was to me in my life, Black, when I just and I felt the exact same things. Like how am I going to even pay to get a book printed? Because I self-published, and
Right.
mine was a little more not costly, uh, but you had a whole lot more upfront kind of costs because you went with a different route. Whichever
Right.
route you go, it's not going to be free. Let me just tell you that now.
It
Somebody
costs.
got somebody's going to have to print it. You're going to have to get it distributed and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We had to create this entire web infrastructure to be able to ship not just in the US but overseas. All of the logistics associated with that was a challenge. And then the content. Like for me, it was like I hadn't really went back to 1986 in 25 years. You know what I
Right.
mean? So to sit down and kind of re-earth or unearth some of those things were traumatic. And when I heard Mike Black say, "Hey man, how's your book?" It's just a gentle little nudge. Now
Right.
it wasn't the major pain. You better get that book done, boy.
Right.
It was
Go get my field knife, Mom. It's like, what in the world? Yeah, that movie's awesome.
no, it wasn't that, man. But it was just the gentle, like you understood, you knew where I kind of should have been.
Right.
And when I wasn't there, it's like, hey man, come on, we got this. We even missed our deadline for launching the book. Remember, it was supposed to be 7/24,
We
and I
did.
totally missed that. We got into November. And
Right.
and like you say, man, and then who's gonna even buy this thing? You get the inferiority complex. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you
Right.
overcame all of that, Mike, and I know that hearing about your journey will inspire someone out there who may very well be on the cusp of writing their own journey and delivering their own journey. Is that something that kind of inspires you, that you may be able to inspire others?
It does, man. And it does in such a way to where, number one, if you're inspired to write a book, I want to know about it. But
Right.
even if I don't know about it, I'm going to imagine the positive that I inspired one person out there
Yeah.
to tell their story. And I don't need, credit. It's not what it's about. But there's that inspiration to say, when you're writing a book, guess what? You're not immune. You're a human being. You're going to go through the same emotions that me and you went through.
Yeah.
It's just going to look different for you. You're going to have things that are hard to deal with, hard for you to overcome, and you're going to wrestle with, is this something I should share? I mean, let's be real. How much stuff did we not put in the book that we chose not to share?
Hello.
A lot.
Ooh,
But how
Jesus.
much did you put in the book that you're like, you know what? I'm going to step out on faith. Someone needs to hear this part of the story and
Right.
how I overcame that or what I dealt with in that, you know? So I'm telling you, it's there's a lot to it, man.
Yeah.
And it's, you
Well, that's
know,
good. And one of the things that I think makes writing, speaking, anything that delivers content is, and I said this the other day in a live. I think I said like the top 3 mistakes speakers make, and one of them was connecting.
right.
Connection is so important. So how do you, Mike, how do you hope readers will connect with the journey of one tortoise and the characters in the story? And when we're talking about connection, have you received some feedback from folks that have already gotten the book? So we see on your Facebook page that you're already out there meeting and greeting and shaking hands and getting the book in people's hands.
Sure. I think that the way I would connect is that it's in tune with my personality, humble. I'm just a regular guy, right? I put my pants on just like you do, one leg at a time. So the secret sauce is that when I wrote the book, I wrote it with you in mind that I'm telling a story and it's raw and it's real and it's funny and it makes you sad, make you cry. It's got all the spectrum of emotions. So keep it simple, you know. The old Marine Corps, what is the acronym? They say KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
But there was nothing overly flamboyant about my book. It's just, I wrote it. I'm a regular guy. See what I'm saying? So I guess the message would be if you're a regular person or you go through those emotions, don't think I'm not special enough to write a book. Just write
Yeah.
it. Just write.
So have you
You
gotten
can do
feedback?
it.
So have you gotten
I
feedback?
have. I've got some feedback where several people have read the whole book and they've said that, and I don't believe they're blowing smoke, but they said, book is awesome. We loved your stories. We love things that you shared, the basketball, some of the basketball chronicles, some of the stories of family, and things that happened. So I've got some really positive feedback. And so I really welcome that. And I'm glad that they've shared that back with me.
And you guys can give feedback to Black directly. You can contact him directly, Mike Black, that is, and you can go to several different places. The Journey of One Tortoise can be purchased directly from Dorrance Publishing. It's also available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. You can go there and leave a 5-star review. You can get a hard copy, or you got a digital copy too, Black?
Ebook, yeah, it's an ebook.
Yeah, the ebook. The Next Chapter Books and Arts downtown in New Bern, North Carolina, and also it's available at Nautical Star Coffee Company in downtown New Bern. If you'd like to have Mike sign your book and send you a copy, just call him or text him at 252-622-0441. I'm gonna try to call you from memory tomorrow, Black, see if I can do it. So we connect and we put our work out there, and then we feel maybe inspired to do something again in the future. So can you share any details about any upcoming projects with future books? And is there a specific genre or theme that you're looking at doing on your next work?
Yes, Chris. So I am inspired to do a leadership book. I'll be writing this from my extensive experience and being fortunate to lead others in different capacities in my life. I will share this one nugget that what's funny is that I feel very convinced that the creative process that comes to me, I just need to ride it like a roller coaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just roll with it because I have the title. I'm not going to tell the audience. I have the title and the chapters, and I only wrote a few pages. So I went totally opposite of the way that I wrote the Journey of One Tortoise, right?
Right,
But
right.
the creativity has just came to me. The cover came to me when I was somewhere. The title came to me when I was somewhere. So I'm just going to ride this creativity that when it comes to me, I'm not going to question it. I'm going to roll with it and just put it in action. So
Yeah, and one of the things that I did and probably added some stress, and I would like to pick your brain on the thought process, because you know, parameters are kind of important. So in other words, I had to put even though we didn't meet the July date, having
Correct.
having that gave me something to work toward.
Tracking.
Do you think that that's somewhat important to not just have an open ended, or can you see that working still? In other words, I don't want to have a finished date. When I finish, I finish. What do you think about both of them?
So I think of it as in from where we both sit now, we both went through this process. We're both published, right? So we come at it from a little bit of experience. I think very much so that deadlines are important, but I think they need not to be so stringent. They need to be flexible. So, for
Right.
example, if I was to say, my goal is to have my next book out by the end of 2025. Okay. So if I do a checkup every 3 to 6 months to see where I'm tracking, if it's released in 2026, it's released.
Right.
So think of it in terms of set yourself a tentative goal, but give yourself room to, go left or right, but you're making that progress. So in other words, if you don't state outright, my goal is to do ABC, if you don't state the goal, then it's just a dream and you might not be nowhere near where you want to be. So
Right.
I think that that's important. And I think that's one thing I have learned, in this process, because you're right. I mean, you wanted to come out at a certain time, it was delayed. My thing was delayed, my book was delayed, and it came out. And so, it's just getting over that, oh, the whole world's going to see it. And oh man, what if somebody does get over it? Put
Talk
it
about
out there.
talk about this real quick. I know we didn't talk about this in the pre-show, but I just want to let
Sure,
some
sure.
people think about the editing process.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So let me break this down. So when I said just write it, I should have put a caveat to say,
And editing at
try,
the
try
same time.
yeah, try to write it and edit at the same time. Because let me tell you, you write 100 pages handwritten, and I
Right.
feel like I'm pretty decent. I didn't do like script or cursive, how they say it, right?
Right.
So when you start typing it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't want to say that, chop. I don't want to say that, chop. Oh, I want to add this, type. Okay. So this Grammarly has been a wonderful program that I utilize. So I was clicking on it one night and I said, holy crap, Grammarly they'll edit it. How much money? And I remember telling you, I'm not going to tell that money. But
Yeah.
he's like, Black, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. So I cried, paid that money, and they like ripped my paper a new one. I was like, oh, rip my book a new one. I was like, okay, I'm glad I did that. Then a friend of yours helped me edit the book. Then another friend of yours helped me, a mutual friend of ours helped me do the book. So it was essentially 3 times before I sent the manuscript to the publisher, and they edited it again. So that's what, 4 times,
Mhm.
but probably more like six because I did my own edits.
Right.
So if it's edited 6 times, it's crazy. And
And
we're
it's
not talking about editing one page. You're talking about 100+ pages
right.
that they're going through you're going through every page and every, line.
But look,
I don't
my
know how many words that's 50,000 words. How many
bro,
is in your book? 30,000 words, 50,000 words, or something like that.
yeah.
It's
I remember
crazy, man.
an author who was given a course. He's like, man, my first book, after I published it, somebody came up to me and showed me all the corrections that needed to be made after it was published. And I'm just like, hey, look, if there's something y'all read in my book that's not right or out of punctuation, don't tell me, because I'll probably have a coronary. Because the editing part is pretty intense, isn't it?
Very exhaustive. I mean, it just, you don't realize, how grammar and how we're supposed to use it, translate that into, vernacular and speaking properly. Like you mentioned, speaking and writing, two different things,
Right,
two
right.
totally different things,
Yeah,
and some
and
people are more gifted than others. I get it. That's part of it too.
well, and sometimes as a speaker, you can tend to use filler words, and
Correct.
that
Fluff.
yeah, words that are not necessary, right?
Correct.
And then you go and try to add those to your book so that way it meets the length criteria, And then you find out all the times you said that should not be in there because it's excessive. I'm just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, editing is something. And Dr. Skip Mondragon, who's a sponsor of Impacting Life 24/7, he said the magic is in the editing. He says what he said. So he was telling the truth. When I went into editing phase, I was just like, oh, this is demonic. So what advice, when you talk about aspiring authors, hopefully, Mike, we can inspire some authors. We'll make this so we can maybe tag some potential authors or new authors on Facebook or something like that. But, what advice would you have for aspiring writers who are working on their own projects?
My advice is simple. If I can do it, you can do it. Start writing and seek help from other writers. Remember, this is an endeavor you cannot do alone. Cannot stress that enough. You can't do it alone. And if you try to do it alone, your work is going to show that. Just keeping it real.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I like what you said, because you indicated that you can't there's nobody that's going to sit down at the computer or the notebook or whatever and do the work for you. That was the part that I was like, I was even trying to cheat the game, bro. And I was trying to find the talk to type thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I can talk a million miles a minute. I probably have a 400-page book, but I could never get it down. And then I got lazy. Then I didn't want to talk. You know what I mean? And so it was just like you say, like hanging ornaments on a Christmas tree. They ain't going to hang themselves. Somebody's got to do it, but you don't have to do it alone. That's a beautiful thing.
You don't do it alone. You got to have support. Writer's block, you're going to have that self-doubt. It's natural.
Right.
But you also have to have that creative process. Let your creative process flow. It has to flow from you and you alone. And once you hit your stride, I know it's going to be great.
It is going to be great. And I mean, the reason why it's going to be great is because it's complete. You know what I mean? There is nothing like having something complete. Hold it up there, Black, so we can see it. The Journey of One Tortoise. You guys can go get your copy today, right now. Mike's standing by the phone waiting. We'd love for you to contact him at 252-622-0441. Or if you go online, you go to purchase it at DorancePublishing.com. It's available also on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. His book is available in person at the Next Chapter Books and Art in downtown New Bern, and also available at the Nautical Star Coffee Company in downtown New Bern. Of course, I know him, and I think I left the copy that you gave me in your car. Did I forget it?
I think you did too. I already sold that copy.
Oh man, well look, I'm buying mine, and that's what I think what it was. He was trying to give it to me. I'm not taking it. I'm buying it because I know what it costs to put these things together. So go get your copy. Reach out to Mike. Mike, any parting words just to wrap this all up with a nice package? Go ahead. You got the last word.
Yeah, I would just say, be inspired. You can do it. It is about impact. It's about sharing your life and journey. We're supposed to do this life together, not alone. So love you guys. I appreciate your support. And CL, thank you so much, man, for having me on. It's been delayed doing this, but hey, we done it. It's in the books. And
it's good that it's delayed, because whenever we get together, it's going to be smooth, brother.
That's it.
Ain't even like you missed a day in the studio, is it?
That's right. That's right, man. It's so good to be back. It feels natural. Got these lights up, got the thing working in the background. It's pretty sweet.
That's right, brother. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. We do not have any more interviews in 2023, but we made Mike, I don't know if you knew this, but I made a pledge for 2024 to interview everyone we've ever interviewed. In all 4 years of podcasting, we're going to bring them all back in 1 year. That's going to be crazy.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
You set these crazy goals, and then you get burned out by the midway point, and then I'm just like, hey, Black, can you interview the rest of these people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Anyway, we appreciate you. The Journey of One Tortoise. Merry Christmas, Black, and thank you for all that you've done, brother.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Peace.